what the fuck is going on with Star Wars, as I have just watched episode 7 of The Acolyte, and somehow it has become even more retarded than I ever thought possible.
Our opinion of you can't possibly go any lower.
This is the episode where we finally see what we all knew happened to the lesbian space witches, which is that the Jedi killed them all. Now, the whole purpose of this show was to portray the Jedi as the baddies, but because of how badly the show is written, what the Jedi do is entirely justified, and in fact, the so-called innocent witches end up being the real villains of the episode. And on top of all that cat shit, we now have new force powers because there aren't enough of them already. Painfully bad dialogue, heavy-handed exposition, bored actors who look like they would rather be somewhere else, over-emotional Jedi that don't behave like real Jedi, and a terrible fight scene which is cat shit to watch. This episode is pointless as it doesn't expand upon anything we don't already know, and considering that this is the penultimate episode of the season, it does absolutely nothing to set up the finale, which no one gives a fuck about.
I don't give a fuck.
This episode was so boring that I'm not even going to waste any more of my time on this than I have to, so let's go through the dumbass plot. This takes place entirely in a flashback to the witch planet we saw in episode 3, except this time it's from the Jedi's perspective, and they are on this planet to look for something called a Vergence, which is basically a big force hole, and that hole can somehow create life.
What the fuck are you talking about, huh?
So much life, in fact, that it made this dead planet into an overgrown jungle in less than 100 years. Now, from what I remember from Obi-Wan's explanation of the Force, it's an energy field created by all living things. So how does a force hole exist on a planet that had no life?
I don't have a clue.
So as I said, this team of Jedi are here looking for this force hole, and they are using what look like metal detectors to try and locate it. Why they are using these things, I don't know, since the Jedi should be able to sense it. You know, because it's kind of their thing, especially if there is such an enormous amount of it.
None of this makes any sense.
But whatever, the writers clearly don't give a shit, so why should we? Later that night, Torben is annoyed that they've been stuck in a shithole for 7 weeks, and no one has told him why he is here, until Sol just casually drops it whilst he is eating.
We are looking for a Vergence.
Why have they waited 7 whole weeks to tell him only to reveal it now casually? Well, the real reason is that this is just a lazy way to dump exposition to the audience.
That's so fucking lazy.
The next day, Sol then heads up north and just wanders around looking for this force hole like it's a set of missing car keys until he immediately stumbles across May and Osha before following them back to their base. Now, the Jedi have somehow managed to overlook this enormous mountain castle full of witches. Surely a quick scan of the planet or a probe droid would have found this place straight away, but then this episode would have only been about 10 minutes long, so instead they have the characters waste a lot of time wandering around in the middle of fucking nowhere for 20 minutes.
I'm so fucking bored!
Sol is unable to take the elevator as it has been locked down, leaving him no other way up, but this is no problem for him as it turns out that he's an expert climber and is easily able to scale what looks like Mount Everest in only a few minutes. Jesus Christ, for a man in his early 50s, Sol must have an amazing workout routine. Because even though he's climbed a mountain, he still has enough energy to sneak around this base, uncover where the magical force hole is, and is still able to climb back down the mountain all within a few hours. The man is in fantastic shape. That night they decide to meet the witches because they suspect they're going to do something to the twins, and this scene is almost exactly the same as episode 3, but this time we see black lesbian girl boss space witch enter Torben's mind where she proceeds to mind rape him. This is the second time Leslie has wrote a scene where a young actor or actress being violated by someone, and I think this is her subconscious trying to tell us through her writing what she did to all those women who she served up to Harvey Weinstein like a pudding. Anyway, they head back to the ship where Sol says that he wants to have Osha as his Padawan, as he's instantly become obsessed with her for no reason. But when they contact the Jedi Council, they refuse Sol's request of being a creepy mentor to this little girl, and they also say that the Jedi have to stay on this planet for no reason.
Why?
Torben then pulls out a bullshit midichlorian device that not only detects that Osha and May are both Force sensitive, but that they were created artificially using the Force. Wow, it sure is lucky that on this geological survey, Torben just so happened to have brought this incredibly specific tool with him, otherwise the rest of the plot wouldn't have happened.
How very convenient.
So because Torben was mind raped into feeling very homesick, he decides to just kidnap both the children and deliver them to the Jedi Council as proof of the Force hole, which once again makes absolutely no sense since the proof he so desperately needs is on the iPad in his very hands. Fuck me, are the Jedi retarded.
That's fucking stupid!
Unfortunately for him, Torben has been prevented from abducting some children as the elevator is still locked down. Sol, who catches up to him, decides to help because he wants to take Osha for himself.
You, sir, are a pedophile.
Anyway, the pair of them, desperate to snatch some kids and with no way up, decide to scale the mountain, which for Sol will be the third time he's done this today. And not just that, but they managed to scale a mountain this big in less than 5 minutes. And we know this was done in less than 5 minutes because it takes the same amount of time for May to try and kill her sister with fire because she's a fucking weirdo. So they manage to climb the mountain and the two male Jedi stand off against the all-female witches in a tense situation. So in order to try and calm everyone down, the black lesbian girl boss space witch turns into a Dementor from Harry Potter and tries to disintegrate May as well.
Why? Why would you do that?
I have no idea what the fuck is going on, and it's only made more confusing when Sol, seeing the stupid black lesbian girl boss space witch now turned Dementor from Harry Potter, proceeds to stab her in the stomach that she no longer has, and this somehow kills her.
I don't care anymore.
So as the idiotic, evil black lesbian girl boss space witch who was trying to vaporize May is dying, she blames Sol and the Jedi for causing all of this, and lays it on thick so that the audience don't interpret this scene in any other way than Jedi bad and witch cunt good.
I was going to let Osha go. It's what she wants. It's what she wants. She chose you.
Okay, I get it.
The writing is so shit that I'm actually surprised that she didn't just stare directly at the camera and say that the Jedi have always been the bad guys. So with the death of the evil, tyrannical, idiotic black lesbian girl boss space witch now turned Dementor from Harry Potter, the witches attack, and Torben does the same lightsaber move that Anakin did in the prequels, all so that the retards on Twitter can clap like the seals they are. Horny Witch then tries to give us her best war cry, but like all women who try to do an intimidating shout, it unintentionally becomes hilarious.
Run! Fight me!
The fight doesn't last long, however, as she and some of the witches turn into a giant fart cloud, just like that pointless character from Ahsoka. And just like him, they disappear without an explanation as to what the fuck has happened to them. We can only guess that they turned into smoke to try and possess the Wookiee, but even that doesn't make any sense because we can see that it's all the witches inside the building who aren't smoke that are the ones doing that. So what exactly has happened to the smoky horny witch and all the archers?
What the fuck is going on?
It doesn't matter, just like this whole show doesn't matter, as the now possessed Wookiee tries to kill both Sol and Torben. And even though he's strong enough to pull their arms out of their sockets, all he ends up doing is just throwing them around repeatedly until girl boss Carrie-Anne Moss shows up and somehow overpowers a fully grown Wookiee. Her girl boss powers don't just stop there, as she single-handedly manages to overload the mind of over 30 lesbians who are connected to the Wookiee, and this somehow kills them.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
So with the massacre complete, the mountain starts to explode, all because May set fire to a stone door, and Sol stumbles across May and Osha standing on the broken platform. He tries to save the both of them, but the arsehole twins are too stupid to save themselves, so they just stand still on a crumbling platform with their hands out, not even trying to escape.
I don't give a fuck.
Unable to save these two retards, Sol decides to only save Osha, who wants to be a Jedi, and takes her to his ship. When they get back, Carrie-Anne Moss, who has lectured everyone all episodes and yet has done nothing to stop them, even though she's the leader of the group, says that they will lie to the Jedi Council, only telling them a portion of the truth.
We will tell the council the truth. May burned down the witch's fortress and everyone was lost.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You told the truth up to a point. But a lie of omission is still a lie.
The problem with this genius plan of theirs is that it's incredibly obvious that they are lying, and you don't even need the Force to see that. Because when they show up to the Jedi Council with one of the twins they were told to leave behind, and Torben's face looks like he's been in a fight, they are going to start asking questions like, what happened to the Force hole you were supposed to find, and why does everyone feel so guilty since Torben kills himself over this incident even though he didn't do anything wrong? Who gives a shit anyway? And that's the end of episode 7.
Just let us die.
Oh wait, no it isn't, because there's a gay song in the credits.
You thought your soul was a necklace that you could wear and take off.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
The next episode is the last, and honestly, does anyone even care where the show is going? It's painfully obvious what is going to happen. Osha is going to become an Acolyte, and May is going to forgive the Jedi. But at the end of the day, this whole show is pointless and doesn't mean anything. And when the finale finishes, nobody is going to be talking about this show ever again. I mean, I would rather have my dick get caught in my zipper than have to watch another season of this cat shit. And with that lovely image, that was episode 7 of The Acolyte.
It's a piece of shit.